This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Tuesday, the 19th day of June in the year 2018. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Police detectives along with auditors from the Ministry of Finance have been called in to conduct a joint probe at the Ministry of Public Health into allegations of fraud. Health Minister Walter Lawrence announced today that the investigations are being conducted into the misappropriation of funds and what she called blatant attempts to steal public funds. According to a release from the Ministry of Public Health, the minister, who is a professional accountant, told staff members during a meeting that she does not intend to tolerate dishonest employees. In the reported frank discourse with senior staffers, the Public Health Minister raised questions about blatant attempts to steal and other brazen dishonest acts perpetrated by Ministry of Health employees. Lawrence said the police and officials from the Ministry of Finance will carry out open investigations into ongoing corrupt practices by staff members. According to the minister, fraud has been ongoing a long time at the Public Health Ministry and it must end. She cautioned program managers who appeared stunned by her revelations that they need to check what they sign on to and ensure those documents meet the regulatory requirements that are in keeping with their programs. The minister also said she has seen efforts at sabotaging the ministry left, right and center, with some workers sending out missives on internal Ministry of Public Health matters to persons outside the public service structure. According to Minister Lawrence, some parts of the Ministry of Public Health's train have derailed, but the madness has to stop. In the courts, the boyfriend of the young woman who was allegedly pushed to her death from a moving car during an argument was today charged with unlawfully killing her. 21-year-old Rick Sucharan appeared before the chief magistrate this afternoon and was not required to enter a plea to the unlawful killing of 19-year-old girlfriend Saskia Adams. The manslaughter charge was recommended by the Director of Public Prosecutions as the police forwarded its file on the matter for advice. The police case is that the woman was pushed from the moving car on June 10th along Lamaha Street. However, in court today, the accused was represented by attorney Sanjeev Dattadin, who told the court that his client has found himself at the center of a most unfortunate accident. He said his client has been cooperating with the police and maintains his innocence. According to the attorney, the young man claims that his girlfriend jumped from the moving car that he was driving at the time, resulting in a head injury. The attorney explained that it was the same accused who rushed the woman to the hospital where she died. The prosecutor, Gordon Mansfield, made no objections to bail. However, he asks that the man be made to lodge his passport and make regular visits to the police. That paved the way for the granting of bail in the sum of $500,000. The matter will return to court on the 13th of July. More training for frontline trafficking in persons responders are in the pipeline as Guyana continues its fight against the problem and as there continues to be increases in the number of suspected trafficking victims crossing over into Guyana from neighboring countries to work in the mining districts. This morning, mining workers from the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission commenced a two-day training program to better position themselves to detect and refer these cases in Guyana's interior and mining districts. Acting Coordinator of the Ministerial Task Force on Trafficking in Persons, Oliver Prophet, said for this year already Guyana has recorded 68 cases of alleged trafficking in persons.
In Guyana, victims are not only local or not only Guyanese, but they can come from overseas as well. And in fact, from 2014 to now, we would have seen that it's almost equal in terms of victims from overseas or alleged victims from overseas and alleged victims that are originate from Guyana.
Many of the cases are suspected to be taking place in the mining communities and involves persons from neighboring countries. Foreign Service Officer Lucretia Bryan French spoke about the number of foreign victims that mines officers come into contact with in Guyana's interior regions, and the need for them to always be on the lookout for suspected cases of trafficking in persons. Currently, Guyana is on the Tier 2 watch list of the U.S. State Department for trafficking in persons, which means the country has met the minimum standards for fighting the scourge. On the diplomatic front, following the announcement by Venezuela yesterday that it will not participate in the international court case to settle the border controversy with Guyana, the government of Guyana has announced that it intends to invoke the statute of the court that provides for the court making a judgment when one party decides to opt out. In a statement last evening, the Guyana Ministry of Foreign Affairs explained that Guyana has observed that under Article 53 of the Statute of the Court, whenever one of the parties does not appear before the court or fails to defend its case, the other party may call upon the court to decide in favor of its claim. The ministry noted that Guyana intends to proceed in accordance with the said article. According to the press statement from Tacuba Lodge, Guyana is fully committed to the rule of law in international relations, including the peaceful resolution of disputes in conformity with international law. It said Guyana trusts that the International Court of Justice, the judicial organ of the UN, will resolve the controversy with Venezuela in accordance with the law in a manner that is fair and equitable. Guyana also hopes that in due course Venezuela will reconsider its position and decide to appear in court and defend its case. But the Ministry of Foreign Affairs also noted that at the same time, if Venezuela persists in its refusal to participate, the rules provide for the court to proceed after a full hearing of the case to a final judgment that is legally binding on both the participating and non-participating parties. And finally this evening, a new policy has been put in place to ensure teenage mothers have the opportunity to go back to school while receiving support at home and from their community. The policy manual was handed over on Monday by officials from the Ministry of Education and the United Nations Children's Fund. The policy is a result of a collaboration between the two agencies. It also had the input of other important stakeholders such as the Ministry of Public Security, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Social Protection, and faith-based organizations and other agencies. Addressing the gathering, First Lady Mrs. Sandra Granger called on the policymakers and educators to uphold and protect the rights of children and adolescent mothers who have suffered sexual abuse. She was supported by the Education Minister and the UNICEF representative in Guyana.
Also, we have to deal with teen mothers whose parents are in their early 30s or younger. So they might not have had any training in parenting their children. So we are dealing with a social issue that affects us, and anybody from child care and protection will tell you it is throughout the country.
The policy has been in the works for approximately 1 year and sets out clear guidelines to ensure that mothers are not denied the opportunity to re-enter the formal school system. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting.